Good to see you. Yeah, I just wanted to pop on and give a little kind of a pep talk, I guess, would be a good thing because maybe that's what I need right now too. Because even though I might be further along in my process and my healing than you are, and in my manifestations than you are, I still need a pep talk. We all do. We're all human and we all have these little voices of doubt in our head that kind of chime in and make us feel certain ways. So, yeah, I just wanted to say to you, if you are in the middle of making changes in your life, in your being, and you are still sitting in your house that is the same house, and maybe in a situation that is the same situation, and everything around you looks exactly the same as it did when you started this journey, and it feels the same, it can have a tendency to keep you feeling like you are in the same place, even though you actually aren't. And why I say this is because I've been working really hard on manifestation. So if you're working on manifesting some stuff, which I'm sure you are if you're watching this, and it's not happening yet, it's really easy to slip into a mindset where you start thinking it's not going to happen, and you start doubting yourself and doubting if it's going to happen, and all of those old feelings that you have been feeling for so many years. And remember, a lot of the way that you've felt for a really long time is because of habitual behavior. It's because you've created a habit of being stressed, of being anxious, of being worried, of being afraid. And, for me, it used to be that I had created a habit of becoming depressed in reaction or response to stressful situations. So you have to remember that you're going against habit, really old habit too. So it's fully ingrained in your system, and you're kind of trying to wash away those ruts that you've created. And it's not always easy. The ruts get less deep as you go along, but they're still there. So I just want to say, when you are in this process and you're changing and you're pushing forward and you're trying everything, and sometimes things don't feel like they're working. And if you watched the video of mine a couple of videos back, or the last video, I can't remember. Anyway, if you watch that video, you'll know that we got some really kind of alarming news. And so if you're still creating and you're not there, it hasn't shown up yet, and you get something like alarming news, or something comes up in your life that creates a little bit of stress. For me, if I looked at a timeline, I actually was talking to my ex-partner and my son's father today, and he was great. He really super supportive of me. I went and asked for help. I said, look, I'm spinning in my mind right now. All of these things are happening outside of me, and I'm creating story inside of me. And even though I'm further along the path, and this is what I was going to say, I kind of made a timeline. I said, I started over here. And, so say the end is over here. I feel like I'm like right here, but I'm not over here. So when stressful news comes in, or some sort of change, something, if you're closer to this side than you are to this side, it's pretty easy to go from right here back and slide back into old habits of thinking to create or that will create a stressful response in your body. So I actually went and asked for help this morning. I said, look, I'm having all these voices in my head, all this self-doubt come in. I'm afraid that we're going to lose our house and our living situation, which is a beautiful living situation. I'm having a ton of fear come up. I woke up this morning feeling anxiety in my body, which I don't usually do. It comes up. I used to have really bad social anxiety, and every now and again I'd get really bad anxiety attacks. But it was not the leading thing for me. Now, this morning, I woke up with anxiety in my body, and I had to figure out how to get out of that place. So part of what I want to say is when you're on this journey, where you can make your own timeline, you're on that journey. If you're not all the way to the end and all of the things that you've been manifesting have shown up, then everything in between, you're going to have doubt. It's going to come in. You're also going to have your old habits trying to come back and like grab at you. And what I would say in these moments, it's really important, one, to ask for help if you can. Pull one of your friends, pull your mom, pull your dad, your brother, your sister, your partner, anybody who you have who is close to you, and say, hey, I'm having all these thoughts about this thing. It is triggering some stuff within me, and I need an outside perspective to help me re-perceive, I guess, and rewrite what I'm thinking, because, you know, we create so much in our heads, like so much just through thought. We create so much that isn't even happening right now. And by having those thoughts and by feeding those thoughts, which is why I asked for help, because I didn't want to feed those thoughts at all today. I don't want to feed those thoughts at all, period, because they just drag me down. So instead of feeding those thoughts, to go outside of them and say, hey, I'm having these thoughts. I'm on this journey. I have this mission with my life. I have this place that I envision myself getting to, and all of these thoughts are telling me, oh, you're not doing it. You're not going to get there. How can you do it? Oh my God, maybe you're going to lose your house, or maybe you're going to lose your job, or whatever thing might have come up. You're going to have these voices telling you essentially the worst case scenario. What the fuck? Why do we do this to ourselves? Why? You know, well, there's actually scientific reasons why we do. One is because if you have a feeling of fear, or there's some sort of fear, your body thinks there's something that it needs to save you from. So it's kind of a life-saving mechanism. However, when fears come up, now we don't need that life-saving mechanism. And so your body's trying to figure out how to make you safe. So your body throws out the worst case scenario, which means, okay, if this is the worst case scenario, then I have to do this, 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 and this. But then what if I don't do that? And it's a whole conversation, but we don't actually need the worst case scenario anymore. What we need to do is get out of our minds and speak to somebody, anybody. You don't have to have a therapist. You just need a friend who can listen and give you a different perspective. And then if there actually is something that is that needs to have action taken, like we had to do a few things in our house so that if our landlord comes and sorry, I have my partner walk in. So if, yeah, you want to say hi? Say hi. It's my video.
Oh, hey, yo, what's up, y'all?
Yeah. Anyway, he's just treating a little hive outbreak, which we don't know what it's from. Anyway, so back to what I was saying is, if you find yourself in a position where you're spinning and you know, you go and you get this outside perspective and there needs to be something done, then you can sit with that person and come up with solutions so that you can settle yourself and you can go ahead and essentially start taking action instead of sitting in your head and creating the worst case scenario. So yeah, I just want to say, whatever you're going through right now, in your journey, if it doesn't look like things are happening and you're not seeing your manifestations happen, you got to stay on it, because it's when you give up that you start sliding back. You can't slide back. So in order to stay on it, you have to get outside of your head. You have to step outside, recognize that you're probably creating story. You're potentially creating things that aren't even going to exist unless you start thinking them into existence. So you have to pull yourself out of it. If you can't do it on your own, you have to talk to somebody. And for me, it's really important. I've recognized, and I'm such a solo person, you guys, I never ask for help. But what I've recognized is that now, when I find myself in that place and I wake up feeling like anxious or whatever it is, I get myself together and I say, hey, can I talk to you about this thing? And whomever I'm talking to can usually give me a little bit of a different perspective. And even if they can't give me a different perspective, I'm getting it out of my mind and I'm working through it through my mouth. And so it's coming out and it doesn't bounce around as much in here and cause as much havoc in my system. So I don't have all those body feels, because think about this: when you have a really awful thought, your body reacts. You feel it in your body. So when you do that all day long, you're going to continue to feel it in your body and you're going to just feel awful. And I am not doing that anymore. I'm just not. And I don't want you to do it anymore. I want you to find your healthy balance. And I want you to walk through this life gracefully, as I am now. I'm walking through this life so much more gracefully than I ever used to. And I will continue to do so because I'm continuing to do the work. And I'm also going to work out today. That's going to help relieve a lot of the tension in my system and move the energy through. And so I suggest that for you as well. And I'm also eating really well, as I say in every single one of my videos, and meditating. So I'm doing all of those things as well to make sure that I stay on track. So do something for yourself. If you're spinning, just recognize that you're going to have those old voices, those ruts. They're going to come in and, you're going to have self-doubt. You're going to have fear about, failure maybe. And honestly, failure is actually kind of a great thing in life, because it's when we fail, I don't really like the word fail, right? When we do not succeed in the way that we thought we were going to succeed, we learn. So there are always lessons in, failures. But, if you're feeling all of those fears, it's important to step back, recognize that you have an old system running old programs that's doing it without you consciously recognizing. And then if you are conscious of the thought that's coming up and it is not a great thought, then that's also feeding the subconscious. So you have to stop that. You have to find a way to stop the thoughts in their tracks and shift them to something better. Find solutions. If you're dealing with an issue like I am right now, you need to find a solution. What is your solution to this thing? And or any type of even tiny action steps. They could be like this big, but if they're in a forward motion and not coming from a fear-based thought in your mind that isn't actually happening, then you're going to start moving away from that stress. You're going to start moving away from whatever it is that created the reaction in your body. And you'll be able to function better and you will start feeling better. So even if your only action steps are to do your meditations, are to do a nice, good workout where you get good exertion on your body, and to eat a really healthy meal, those three things are huge in stepping you forward into, that place that you are trying to manifest, which would be a healthier you, or, whatever, if it's a business thing, or whatever it is that you want to call into creation in your life, just taking those 3 steps daily is going to get you so much closer. And then you can look at other things that you might be able to do for your specific situation. So don't let those voices pull you back down your timeline. You have to check them. You have to make the time and say, why am I thinking this? Like, stop creating that story. That story is not happening right now. Like, what am I creating? You got to really see what's making you uncomfortable. And for me, it was thinking this morning, what are we going to do if we have to move out? You know, we've lived here for 12 years. And we're just so set in, and, you know, all these things of like what could be. I don't know what could be. When it comes, I'll deal with it if it comes, but it's not here. So why am I creating it? Why am I creating it? Because that's what I'm used to doing. That's my old habit, is to create something that is the worst case scenario, which is ridiculous. And I spent 3 years in bed because of that, because I was so freaking depressed. And I'm not going to do that anymore. So I'm not going to create things that do not exist yet. And I'm going to check myself. And what you have to do is, once you recognize that you're having these thoughts that are making you feel uncomfortable, you have to tell yourself, stop. So when I'm like, well, you know, what are we going to do if we have to move out or eat? Stop. Stop it. We're fine. This house is amazing. Our landlord loves us. And you start saying things that are the opposite, right? Things that you want to be true. And for me, what I just said, those things are true. So that's in my favor. Now, you know, I don't know what it is, but if there's a shred of truth to it, to the positive, you add that to whatever you're going through to resettle yourself. All right, folks, I'm going to hop off because this video is now turning into quite a long video. But what I want for you is to be able to get through this transformation that you're going through, these changes that you're going through. Recognize that it is normal to have really intense self-doubt, to have really intense fears, to have really intense emotions. Cry them out if you have to. I cried yesterday all day. I cried this morning. I'm releasing. Release them, and then talk to somebody about them, because that's also releasing. That's releasing in an even more productive way. And recognize that that's just your old self, the one that's not successful, the one that's afraid of being broke, the one that's afraid of being depressed for the rest of your life, the one that's afraid of being in pain for the rest of your life, the one that's afraid of being stressed for the rest of your life, like yammering in your head, like, you know, some obnoxious person, and trying to create this old situation that you're used to, that is habitual for you or has been habitual for you. So don't do it. Tell yourself to stop and then act. Okay? All right, y'all. I love you so much. I'm so glad that I can come into your home and that I could give you a pep talk, and that I can share my experience, and share my experience in hopes that it helps you. So hang in there, keep going, do the work, meditate, work out, and eat well today, okay? First steps, and then move on. Take care of yourselves. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.